If you're ever dared to go into an abandoned building at 3 in the morning, don't. I thought ghost stories were fake. I thought urban legends were just ways to scare kids. But what I saw that night, I can't explain it, and I wish I could forget it. I've never posted here before. Honestly, I'm writing this because I don't know where else to put it. If I tell my family, they'll think I'm crazy. If I tell my friends, they'll think I'm lying. So I'm telling all of you, strangers on the internet, because maybe someone here has an explanation, or maybe someone else has seen what we saw that night. It all started with a dare. We were 4 idiots in our early 20s, bored out of our minds, hanging out in the back of Mark's beat-up Honda Civic. It was one of those dead nights where nothing is open, nothing is happening, and the only entertainment comes from pushing each other into doing something stupid. That's when someone brought up the factory. Around town, everyone knew about it. An old textile factory on the edge of the woods, shut down since the 80s. Supposedly a fire had gutted the inside, killing a handful of workers who never made it out. For years, people whispered about screams you could hear from the upper floors, about shadows moving in broken windows, about kids who went in and never came out. Of course, none of us really believed it. Ghost stories are for kids, right? So when 3 a.m. rolled around and someone said, "Bet you won't go in there," the rest of us laughed. Then someone else added, "Bet you won't stay for an hour," and that was it. Challenge accepted. We drove out there, headlights cutting through empty streets until they ended at a cracked road swallowed by weeds. The factory loomed at the end, black against the night sky, windows like hollow eyes staring at us. Even from the car, the place felt wrong. Too big, too empty, too hungry. But none of us backed out. We grabbed flashlights, hopped the rusted gate, and pushed the heavy doors open. The smell hit us first. Mold, burned wood, rust, and something else, something sour, like meat left out too long. Inside, it was worse. The air was heavy, thick, with dust that glittered in our flashlight beams. The walls were covered in graffiti, some of it stupid, some of it weirdly aggressive. Jagged letters spelling "Get out," "Leave while you can," "She's still here." At first we joked about it. Mark said it was just local kids messing with people. Jordan laughed and said we should add our own tag, maybe something like "We survived the factory." But none of us pulled out spray paint. We started walking through, sticking together in a tight group. Every footstep echoed too loudly, bouncing through hollow halls. Doors creaked in the distance, even though the air was still. Once, I swore I heard footsteps behind us, but when I spun around, the beam of my flashlight caught only empty floor and flaking walls. We climbed a broken staircase, careful where we stepped. The second floor was worse, half collapsed, with beams jutting at strange angles. Our lights caught a wall of burned lockers, melted together like wax. One still had a nameplate attached, the letters warped but readable. E. Harper. That's when Emma gasped. "What?" Jordan asked. "That's my last name," she whispered. We laughed it off. Coincidence, right? Factories employed tons of people. Still, the way her voice shook made me uneasy. We kept going, deeper into the maze of ruined halls. My watch read 3:27 a.m., just 30 minutes left. That's when we found the stairs to the basement. They were half hidden behind a collapsed door frame, concrete steps sinking into darkness. Every instinct screamed not to go down there. But of course, someone had to say it. "Come on, let's check it out." So we did. The basement was colder, the kind of cold that doesn't make sense indoors. Our breath fogged in the beams of our flashlights. The walls were concrete, but black scorch marks spread like veins across them. At the far end, we found a heavy metal door. It looked newer than everything else, like it had been installed after the fire, welded shut. On the door, scratched deep into the steel, were words. "Don't wake her." We all stared. Mark chuckled nervously. "Creepy. Bet some squatter did this." Jordan leaned close, shining his light along the grooves. "Nah, man, these aren't scratches. They're carved in, like with a tool." That's when we heard it. a sound from behind the door. Not footsteps, not banging, not even a voice. It was breathing. Slow, ragged, wet. We froze, every muscle in my body locking up. The sound grew louder, closer, as if whoever or whatever was behind that door had just noticed us. Emma whispered, "Please, let's go." And we should have. God, we should have. But Jordan, being Jordan, knocked on the door. 3 sharp bangs. The breathing stopped. Silence filled the basement, thick and pressing. I felt sweat bead along my neck despite the cold. Then, scraping. Metal against metal, like nails dragging down the other side of the door. That broke us. We bolted, flashlight swinging wildly, crashing up the stairs 2 at a time. My heart slammed against my ribs, every nerve screaming to get out. But the building wasn't the same anymore. Hallways stretched longer than before. Doors we'd passed earlier were gone. The graffiti looked different, words smeared, letters rearranged to form new messages. She knows your name. She heard you. Run. We did run. We didn't care where, just away, until we spilled into a massive room lined with broken machinery. And that's where we saw her. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, a figure standing between rusted machines, too still, too thin. Her head was tilted at an unnatural angle, hair hanging in clumps over her face. Then she moved. Not like a person, not like anything I've ever seen. Her body jerked, limbs bending wrong, like a puppet yanked on tangled strings. Each movement came with a crack, a pop, like bones breaking. She turned toward us, and she said Emma's name. Not screamed, not whispered. She said it, in a voice that sounded like burning wood collapsing in on itself. Emma shrieked and bolted, and we followed, crashing through another hallway. I don't know how long we ran. Time didn't feel real in there. Every corner we turned, I expected her to be waiting. Finally, somehow, we found the front doors. We threw ourselves into the night air, gasping, stumbling, sprinting for the car. Mark fumbled with the keys, nearly dropping them, but finally the engine roared to life. We tore out of there, gravel spitting under the tires. Only when the factory was a shrinking silhouette in the rearview mirror did anyone speak. "What the fuck was that?" Jordan whispered. No one answered. We dropped Emma off first. She refused to look at us, refused to say a word, just slammed the door and ran into her house. The next day, she wasn't at school, or the day after. A week later, her parents said she'd moved to stay with relatives out of state. None of us have heard from her since.
At a gas station, doors locked. Neither of us slept. Every shadow outside the window made my heart skip. Every time headlights passed, I half expected to see my own reflection in the back seat, grinning. By morning, I convinced myself it had been some kind of nightmare, until we went back.